Thank you, PJ. It is time for another edition of the Pair and a Spare podcast. I'm Justin Gaard from The Fan. We've got Chip Scoggins from the Star Tribune, Ryan Burns from GopherIllustrated.com. We are presented, as always, by our great partners at Jack's Cafe. Make your reservations at jaxcafe.com. Burnsy, is it too early to say it's patio season? Have the last 2 days not been Jack's Cafe patio season for you? I think they have been.
As a Minnesotan, I will tell you, I've been in shorts. Sweatshirt and shorts season is what it's been. So we've been taking the dog on the walk a little bit more often now that it's bearable, which is insane to go from 10 days ago, boys. It was negative 15, negative 20 in the morning. Now as I'm driving to go get a haircut, it's 53 degrees. But yeah, I mean, I'm walking into places, and let me tell you, the older generation doesn't exactly understand why I'm in the shorts, but you got to be able to appreciate days like we've had this week.
I would look at you strange if you had shorts on. It's not shorts. It's not shorts yet.
Oh, it could be shorts.
I thought
53 degrees is shorts.
I will say I went out. It is shorts. I'm just kidding. I went out with just like a pullover on Saturday. It's like, man, this is. I could if our winters were like this, I could handle this. I could retire here, but.
Yeah, we know you're on your way out.
Not if you're on. If this is just the outlier.
Understood. Yeah, my 8-year-old came up today, I think expecting a fight on what he was going to wear to school. And I just said, no, that's fine. You can wear a T-shirt and pants on the playground. Relax, dude. I don't always tell you no. Okay. It just feels like that.
Well, you are the uptight one of the three of us. And I assume that applies back there in Minnetonka.
I am an uptight dad. I am the disciplinarian, believe me. Yeah, I'm the one that kind of has to keep the train on the tracks on the discipline, unfortunately. So I'm nobody's friend in this house. I can promise you that. Unfortunately, because I'm a good friend, I think, but my kids will never know.
Let the kid wear a hoodie and shorts to school. That's like the attire this time of year, right?
It's true, and we all remember, wearing shorts under your pants so that your mom didn't know that you were going to take the pants off immediately when you got to school. I was a kid once too. All right, I understand it. So I've got no problem with wearing the shorts and the T-shirt on the playground when it's 50 degrees. You're out there for 20 minutes. I don't think frostbite's going to be an issue. Just you go do you.
And look, I'm not a parent, and this isn't Fan Dads, but I will tell you, as you two know, it's not your job to be their friend for the first 18 years of their life.
It's true.
That's the next phase, and that's where my father is among my best friends. But for the first 18 years, you got to instill some things in them boys.
Well, it is funny how you're learning more about your dad's life now that you are his friend. Like, I feel like I learned more about your dad's life than you even knew just hanging out in North Carolina with some of his college
stories I don't even know.
Yeah, we were best buddies within 5 minutes. It was unbelievable.
Well, you have that effect on people. Many people say that.
I do. We did learn over the weekend that all three of us now have a Rochester traveling basketball journey. Chip as a father, Burnsy as a player, and now me as a father. I got lucky with the Gopher women's basketball schedule that there was no game this weekend. It was all their bye week. So I was able to fully immerse myself in the whatever they call it, the Rochester Basketball Classic, where the fourth graders at Minnetonka took over the Fairfield Inn and Suites in Rochester. Beautiful property, wonderful staff. Our tournament when I was growing up, and they still do it, was up in St. Cloud when I was playing traveling basketball. We took over St. Cloud. Now Rochester is the place to be. What a ride, guys, as you know. Chipper, what a ride. Make sure, speaking of fights, no, you can't swim for 10 minutes before we go to the next game. No, you can't run around the hotel with your entire team. I don't care that everyone else is doing it, but we gotta we gotta get ready for Byron tomorrow morning. We gotta get ready
at 8 a.m.
Yeah, we gotta get ready to take Byron on.
Well, we always did it up big. So I coached both my boys, so I probably did. Let's see, they're 3 grades apart, so I probably did it 7-8 years.
Yeah,
maybe 9 years, 4 through 8. Yeah, probably 7-8 years. And Eastridge always had the earliest spring break, so our spring break always fell over the state tournament. So we always treated Rochester as our last tournament of the year. I would never ask the parents to not go to spring break to stay home and play 4th grade travel basketball. So we always treated.
Hold on, that's why Eastridge doesn't have as many banners as some schools. Right?
That's right.
Some of us understand the commitment that it takes to be the best.
What's your commitment?
Yeah, exactly. That is good.
So we always treated Rochester as the end of the year. We always had our end of the year celebration there, and the dinner. It was fun. I loved it. I mean,
so fun.
a lot of teams, and a sneaky benefit of it. No admission price for parents. You get in all the the games for free, so that was nice. Say parents, no, you're paying for a hotel, but
yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was always fun for me. Kind of our last thing with the kids, and chaotic.
Oh yeah,
in the hotel could be chaotic, and why can't we stay out at 15 more minutes running around doing whatever they do in the halls? And
those it's funny to hear you guys talk about it. With I remember doing those exact same things with Tartan traveling basketball, running up and down the halls, trying to hit the pool as much as I can. Which shout out to Mark Klingsporn, Tartan's basketball coach there, my former coach, 700 victories now for the Tartan Titans.
Love
but my two memories, you guys are gonna find this funny from that, other than just running around. There were two significant sports moments that happened that I remember sitting in the hotel room with my boys and talking about it. It was Antoine Winfield got signed as a Minnesota Viking, which then we broke down as 10-year-olds and sitting in the Rochester hotel room.
10-year-olds.
And then I remember waking up to play an 8 a.m. game, and I turned on SportsCenter because I'm on the pullout. That was my entire childhood. Was my sister would get the other bed, my parents the other one, and I'm always on the pullout because I'm the youngest. And it was Malice in the Palace.
Oh yeah.
And I remember turning it on and my parents having to explain to me why Ron Artest is going into the stands to fight people. Which then that was the only thing we talked about the rest of the day before we take on Rochester. Was it John Marshall?
Yeah.
Mayo, John Marshall, Lords. Yeah. You got a bunch of them.
Oh. I always said this too, like those poor hotel staffs. I bet that week they're like, "Oh God, here comes the basketball kids." It's like, the stuff they have to put up with that week, and I'm sure they're saints for hosting that many teams coming down from the metro.
Well, some schools do it different. Like and they've rented out like entire hotels for every program that they have.
Yeah.
Which does make it easier on parents if you have a couple of kids and things like that. But it's also complete mayhem and madness. We just did it by grades this year. So it was just all fourth graders. One of them didn't come down until Saturday. So, and thankfully, we have some parents that aren't free range on everything. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, go ahead. We're just going to bang a bunch of beers here in the lobby. Go do whatever the hell you want. Like, I'd say we're a good mix of helicopter and free range. Like, whatever the middle is. Like, we don't know everything our kids are doing, but we're aware. We're certainly aware if they're doing something that would not look good on our community. And so we gave that speech a lot. You're representing your community. You're representing your school. And they already hate us, by the way, because we're a West Metro suburb. So everybody here hates us anyway.
That's anywhere you go, though, as an East Metro guy. We all hate you anyway.
Exactly. And I've lived with it my whole life. So trust me, I'm like, guys, look, they're waiting for you to do something stupid.
You're a target.
So they can all side eye.
Does your back hurt from having to carry the weight of such things?
It's a burden, man. It's a heavy burden. I've had to up my core strength just to hold on to it.
As you tell us in every pre-production meeting about you, not all heroes wear capes. So it's it's a blessing to be able to do things with you, Justin. I want you to know.
So what do we place? What did we bring home? Any hardware?
No, they got sixth. Which we were happy about. They not that anybody cares, but we ended up losing. Shout out to Byron. We were 3-2 in the tournament. Byron had two teams and they took us down both games. Each of their teams beat us. So shout out to Byron. Good kids, good program. We did knock off a team we hadn't beaten all year, so it was like it was like an epic. I mean, there's nothing like seeing a bunch of 4C boys basketball players just acting like the Timberwolves did last night, beating Oklahoma City. Because
what was it, 19-17?
Close, 22-12. 22.
Wow.
It might have been 22-14. They might have gotten some garbage points late to make it appear closer, but no. But it is fun. Everybody that's listening that's a parent knows, like, the kids, like, the whole day when they knew that night they knew they were playing this team and they hadn't beaten them all year, and 22-14 is like an explosion for those two teams. Because they played them last weekend. Where was I? Women's game. I came up and there was like 10 minutes left in something. It was 6-4. I assumed it was the first half. Oh no. It was the second half. And so we've had some
magical moments you two are never going to forget, are you?
Yeah. So it was fun because the kids were to Chip's point, that we had the state tournament this week. That was their state championship game to knock off the team that had beaten them 4 times and had just been rock fights every time. And they really came together and played well. And it was fun to see them cheer for each other and be good teammates and everything like that. I don't think any of us have illusions that, Mike Grimm's going to be calling their games at some point. So we're in it for the life lessons. We're in it for the life lessons, and I think we learned a few on whatever day that was. Saturday or Sunday. Awesome. Must have been Sunday. All right. Well, I'll do a separate podcast on the state basketball tournament for traveling. But good memories.
Have you been to a state travel coaches seating meeting?
Oh no, I don't think we have to. I think the computer kind of handles that for us at our level.
I'd heard this will be the last thing on. I'd heard the horror stories about it. Well, there was one year we were playing it. I can't remember why, but we were playing in it, and coaches said, "Good luck to you. Can't wait to see you." So we go in there, and of course, nobody wants to be in the top thing, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to. We're not that good. We have injuries. This team beat us. That team.
We have injuries.
I mean, so it was the best. And the guy who's running
Johnny has a cold. He didn't get much sleep last night.
It was great. The guy who was running it says, "Okay, I want you to take out a pen and paper. Write down this number. That's the number for a guy I know who makes trophies. You can call him and get trophies for all your guys." He's like, "Listen, we're going to be here all day if we don't, get through."
I love
this.
that.
Like, it was the best. Like, that put it into it right then. Like, okay, then it fell in line after that. So
yeah, I love it.
But it is. We all like winning, but
come on. Just go play. Yep. Yeah, just go play. I had to do that for high school teams when I was a high school coach. And you see people try to set up semifinal matchups, and we're not this good, and I'm like, okay, you are, like, or you're not.
You beat us by 40 earlier.
Yeah. So I had to do that, 15 years ago, and you just sit there and watch them, kind of figure out how they can, make it to the section semis instead of the section quarters. So it's always something.
Yeah.
It's always something. All right. Speaking of playoffs and speaking of seeding, should we talk about the developments in the college football playoff expansion that we think is going to happen? And they've got lots of meetings. The Big Ten and the SEC had a few meetings, a week or so ago, 2 weeks or so ago. And because they're running everything, right? Anytime there's a meeting about college football playoff or March Madness, there's a meeting to the meeting. There's a pre-meeting where the Big Ten and the SEC get together and go, "What do we want to do, guys? What are we going to tell them?
This is what we're going to tell them what we're going to do."
Yeah, what are we going to tell them? This is what we're going to do. So I think this is in one of Burnsy's favorite towns, New Orleans, right, is where they're going to have this whatever it's called. It might be happening right now. Hang on. I got to pull up my story here.
There is another set of meetings happening this week, and I think another one here happening today on Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is, unfortunately. So they did meet in New Orleans last week, and we're starting to see different changes and different options. First of all, let's start in the far future. It sounds like the Big Ten and the SEC, they want to expand big time, right, and take it to 16. They want 4 automatic bids for each team or each conference. And then ACC Big 12 would get 2. You're going to have to help me with the math, Burnsy. So that's –
I think they're trying to get to 14.
8, 10, 14, and then Notre Dame get 1, and then 1 for the group of 5.
For the group of 5.
Yep. And Notre Dame would get –
and then 1 at large.
Yeah, it's 14. You're right.
Which would allow Notre Dame,
Yeah, and so the headline is the Big Ten and the SEC want 4 automatic berths. 4 guaranteed
They want
berths.
half the field. They want half the field.
So let's start there. What do we think about that? How do we feel about that? Are we surprised by that? I'll answer the last one first. No, I'm not surprised that the Big Ten and the SEC are trying to dominate this thing, but that's what they're trying to push right now.
Yeah, we're not surprised because they make, they run the world. I think most years you would probably land in that spot anyways, but I saw a quote and I can't remember who it's from, and I agree with it. It's like, I think I said this before, I don't want it to turn into the ACC Big or SEC Big Ten shootout, most years, right? You're going to have 3 or 4 teams from those 2 conferences to get in there, but that just seems like a lot. The half the field has to come from 2 conferences.
I mean, it is, but
they run the world, so they're going to get what they want.
You even look at this past season. You got 4 Big Ten teams in because you had Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Indiana. You got Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. But I almost wonder in the back of my head how much of this is just because Alabama didn't get in and they were the first team out. and everybody over there wants to raise a kerfuffle about it. Because if you do expand to 14 and you say hypothetically that this structure would have been in place, all right, well, it would have been the same 4 Big Ten teams that would have gotten in. Alabama would have been one of those teams in.
Mm-hmm.
I think the at-large would have to have been Notre Dame, or does Notre Dame count as a part of the ACC one?
No, they would be at large because they're not ACC conference.
So I'm with Chip in the aspect of we all are already well aware that the Big Ten and the SEC run college football, and that's where the likely spot is that your college football playoff champion is going to come from. But do we really need all of this consternation? Because all these talks are trying to have this week, the Big Ten and the SEC try to have them implement it for the upcoming season. And if they don't get their way, guess what? They're just going to do it in 26 when all of the television contracts expire, and then the Big Ten and the SEC get more power. But I don't understand why this is kind of the hill that the Big Ten and the SEC are willing to choose to die on to get these 2 extra teams. But you guys tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's all about money, right? And I mean, even if you said 3, I think, because most years, don't you think 3 Big Ten and 3 SEC teams are going to be playoff worthy?
Yeah. Yep. Like, do you think, and this is the exercise, do you think the Alabama team that got left out, who is number 13 in the college football playoff rankings, would have made it into, say, the Final 4?
Depend on matchups.
It's all matchup specific. I understand.
Depend on the matchups.
Potentially. I'll be honest, guys, I'm trying to remember who was even in the playoff. I might have to pull it up because you had SMU, Penn State, you had, Boise State was in there, Arizona State was in there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who Alabama would have replaced in this scenario. Would it have been SMU?
Probably. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, because SMU got the last one.
They got the last at-large.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, I wasn't overly impressed with Penn State when they were here that night. I didn't think, oh my gosh, this is a, semifinal playoff type team. But they got favorable matchups in the playoff and won those games. So could Alabama done it? Yeah, if they got the right favorable matchups. But I was on board, and I think we all said I wanted to see the SMU in there. I wanted to see something different. I mean, that was the whole idea for me, is make it more inclusive, get more new faces in there if it's possible. And so
now let me add this though. Because the expansion can't happen until 2026. Like the Big Ten and the SEC control what happens starting then. 2025, the only thing they're trying to do is alter the seeding, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But part of what the SEC is saying is you all want us to play 9 conference games like everybody else does. You all want us to get rid of that second to last November game before we have our rivalry bit. Everybody wants us to keep our out of conference rivalries that we might have in state, right? And get rid of some of these bye games. We'll do that if you guarantee that when we do that, we're going to have a little bit of protection to have four spots there. That's, I think, what they're trying to give, to say everybody wants this 9 games, we'll do it. But that's a game we could possibly lose that might, and again, alter our positioning or alter our seating or whatever it is. I don't hate it as much because I think most years it's probably going to end up like this anyway. Like I just think most years it's going to end up where you're going to have more than half the field be those power teams, especially where it's going with revenue sharing and the way these leagues are just leaning in and have the best coaches and have the best, and we know how much they spend on everything.
Yeah.
I don't hate it necessarily. Obviously you do want a little bit more wiggle room when you can for the Cinderellas, but I don't know if it totally eliminates that possibility.
Yeah. I would like to see, could you get away with 3 guaranteed and more at-larges, 2 more at-larges? One at-large, and okay, that's probably going to be Notre Dame. How many? 90% of the years, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could fall back, but
sure.
So if you're saying one is group of 5 and one's one at large, well, that's probably going to be Notre Dame. So that doesn't leave. What if you have 3 really good ACC teams?
Right.
Then they're going to get squeezed out, probably. So, I think I'd rather see a few more at larges and guaranteed 3. If that's the model, right? 4-4. That's 8.
4-4, 2-2,
1-1. Yeah, 2-2-1-1. Yeah.
I just don't understand if you're the Big Ten in this scenario. And to your point, Justin, if the SEC is going to agree to go to 9 games, why would you what are you giving up as a Big Ten? Because you're already at 9. Is this the compromise you have to make to have the SEC go to 9 conference games in your mind if you're the Big Ten?
Well, it is, and probably the SEC bias that we deal with every time. Like everybody just assume guaranteeing the Big Ten 4, I think, is good because there might be years where it's not. This year it was kind of easy. Indiana was right on the fringe, right? I mean, there was talk about Indiana if they don't win, or what do we do with Indiana if they lose a game or two? And I'm not saying they should have been in or shouldn't have been in, but that was very tenuous, right? Didn't they end up being the 10? They ended up being the 10 seed, I think, and having to go to Notre Dame. That could be wrong on that. Again, it's March. It's almost March, and I can't remember yesterday. But I think it just protects you from the SEC bias in a way because we know that train never stops, right? The national media loves to tell us how good the SEC is on everything. And put this team in the Big Ten, how would they do? Put this team in the SEC, how would they do? I think it just gives you some protection because this, I think, was an interesting year for the Big Ten. You had the Blue Bloods, right? You had Ohio State, Oregon, and obviously Penn State. Those are expected teams to compete for a playoff every single year. Having that 4th spot was Indiana, and that guarantee. If you had the 4, you guarantee that a team like Indiana, when they make a run like they did, has a chance to get in there. So I think that's would be what it would.
Well, that's it 100%. Like if you say, hey, here's 4 guaranteed, well, that eliminates the committee picking apart somebody's schedule and saying, well, Indiana had it. They didn't play anybody. Like they had a soft schedule and they took advantage of it. But you can look at X team from the SEC and boy, they had to play a tough schedule and all this, and they had maybe a loss or two. So that if you can lock in the 4, you absolutely do it. And I think part of the discussion too, right? Is that they're going to have more crossover games between the Big Ten and SEC in the non-conference.
That's what they keep talking about. You keep hearing that rumor.
Yeah, if you get, TV obviously would love that. You get more marquee games in the non-conference that you can put on in prime time. So
I'm trying to think. We're just 1 year away, aren't we, from Mississippi State and Minnesota starting their 2-year deal?
Is that 2026?
Yeah, in 2026, Mississippi State comes up here, and then in 27, Chip's going to lead the Parent and Spare podcast group all the way down with Creative Charters to Starkville, Mississippi, and we're going to find ourselves some cowbell, baby.
Well, Nebraska just backed out of the home and home with Tennessee because they wanted more home games, so maybe Gophers can sign up for that one, baby.
Imagine paying $1 million and having that in the budget. Just can't. Well, the best part about that was your athletic director, Chip, coming out and saying, no, it was not a mutual decision.
I love that.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Well, you should say that.
Make it clear. Make it clear. Like, they didn't want this. I mean, now they got to scramble and find somebody to play. So
I don't understand that at all, by the way.
I don't either.
Side. It's like no one – just go play them. What a fun opportunity it is for your fans to have Tennessee come – because that was a home and home, right?
Yeah.
Home and home.
I mean, that's what everybody should. Everybody wants that, except the coaches.
I know.
And I guess they'll say, "Well, we get fired when we lose it." I don't think you do. I don't think
not
you
games like that. You get fired when you lose you don't make bowl games and you have bad loss. Not when you're playing a team that's like that from the SEC. A playoff team. No, I mean,
that's so strange.
It's absurd. I know, especially. In today's day and age, when we're talking about, gosh, we got to cut this, we got to cut that, we got to, tighten the belt because you're just going to pay $1 million to get out of 2 football games. I mean, come on.
Well, there's some schools that have money is no issue. We've talked about it, right?
I know, but still, if I'm Joe Public and I see the schools just writing checks for $1 million not to play a game, but hey, give us all that NIL money. We need that NIL money. I'd have a hard time reconciling that.
I agree. I mean, you remember the chaos when Jerry Kill got out of North Carolina. And the best part about that was that then they ended up playing him anyway. After all that, they ended up playing after $800,000, which, by the way, $800,000 in like 2013, that was a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Like now we don't even think about it. That's how stupid the money's gotten. Back then it was a big deal. And it's like, again, Jerry's not getting fired because they can't beat North Carolina. And so it's, oh my God. I mean, PJ didn't beat him twice. He didn't get fired. Like no one's putting that on the sheet and going, oh wow. Remember when he didn't beat North Carolina those 2 years? Like no one cares. Yeah. It was fun for fans to go to Chapel Hill. It was fun for North Carolina to come here. It would have been awesome to have Tennessee and Lincoln and vice versa.
That's the thing. If you're a Nebraska fan and you can go to watch a road game at Tennessee and because your coach wants another home game or whatever, and you don't want a loss on your record, I'd be like, what are we doing here?
I know.
Like, what? But back to the CFP, if they'll wind up getting 4. If the Big Ten and the SEC, if that's what they want, that's what they're going to get.
Well, and they control it straight up. So this is
if it's when at this point.
Yeah.
Is it implemented this year, which is what they want to do, besides the reseeding, which we'll get to, or are they going to have to wait till 26 when they get all the power?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly just think, most years 3 is pretty much going to be guaranteed. The 4th you could have a strong argument with. So I don't know how much. There'll be years where you debate it, obviously, but I just, if you're a pop-up team from the ACC, and the ACC has 3 really good teams one year, or the Big 12, and Notre Dame's going to get the at-large, it's, that was going to be hard for them.
With that 4th guaranteed spot, like we've talked about, Indiana was that one this year. But previously, if you go back to the last decade, that could have been Iowa, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're going to have 2 or 3
obviously
of the blue bloods
Michigan
always kind of be there.
Yeah.
But your hope would be that now that when it does get past that there's 4 guaranteed Big Ten teams, you can be the 4th team when you have a special season like they did in 19 to hopefully get in and see what you can do from there.
Yeah. So, and like Burnsy kind of reiterated, 26, I don't know how they work this deal in, but the Big Ten and SEC are basically in charge, and the rest of everybody kind of has to go along with it. And I do think it's good, by the way, for the other 2 to have 2 guarantees. So there's not, if you're a Power 4, there's not so much pressure on your conference championship game. And again, you're not anything that can take the ambiguity out of what's going on in that room, the selection committee room. I kind of like it. And I think it would, by default, kind of eliminate the weekly ratings that we talked about so much, that they back themselves into corners, because you just look and go, who's going to be the top 4 in each conference? Who's going to be the top 2 in each conference? Every conference, that's decided on the field. So there's very little, wiggle room or gray area there, which is good. Now, for this season, 2025, and everybody talked about this, they're basically trying to eliminate they're trying to go to just straight seeding, as opposed to, if you win a conference championship, you're going to be the 4th overall seed, or the top 4 overall seeds. We saw what happened with Oregon. We saw how they get a bye and then have to play Ohio State at the Rose Bowl, right? That's a tough one. They just want to go straight by the committee rankings. So there is some gray area that will sift into there, but I think this makes sense. It doesn't sound like, though, I think it does have to be unanimous with all the different powers that be, whoever votes on this. I think it's like a 10-person panel. And I don't think there's a lot of momentum. The smaller schools, Arizona State doesn't want to do that. Boise State doesn't want to do that, right? The smaller conferences, they don't want to give that much power and just go, you let us know what the order is and we'll go. But I think we all agree that's probably how it should be.
Well, it makes no sense that if you're going to go by the committee's rankings and they have a team ranked 11th, for them to get a 3 seed and a bye. I mean, that just because they want an inferior conference. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So I see why they would resist it, but you set up some weird matchups, and teams Oregon got a brutal draw. And am I right? Did all 4 teams that got the bye lost, right?
Yes.
Arizona State,
Oregon, Boise State, and Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Georgia's an interesting one, because
that's an injury.
Hurt. Yeah. But 3 of 4 even is a lot. And they don't get a home game. They didn't get a home game.
So that's where the Boise State guy, and I'm reading Brandon Marcello from CBS Sports' article about this, is like a team like Boise State, and that's where he got a quote from the Mountain West Commissioner, Gloria, I think Narvaez, is Boise State got an $8 million payout for making it to the quarterfinals, essentially because of that bye.
Sure.
Now, I think if you were to have implemented this reseeding, Boise State would have been hosting some sort of game, which would have been super cool for Boise. And then you're trying to do the whole economic impact argument of what would that have then brought Boise State compared to the guaranteed $8 million?
Boise State would have hosted Indiana in the 8-9 game.
Yeah, and so that's where just being able to host, again, I don't know how it would have worked out dollars and cents wise, but I think that's going to be the pushback from everybody in these, I say, lower conferences, is the Arizona State and the Boise States are going to be getting more than likely going forward these guaranteed $8 million quarterfinal appearances. Now, it is what it is, but then you have the opportunity to host some of these games, and you get, I think, as we all agree, more competitive games, probably. Yeah. But then we all say that, and guys, I mean, we've talked about this for years. Go look at every college football playoff back even to when it was 4 teams. Like the average margin of victory in these games, even if it's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, is like 3 touchdowns. So you're trying to avoid it. You're trying to have games like the Texas-Arizona State game or the Penn State-Notre Dame game. Like, I understand what you're going for and trying to get the most viable matchups, but it is for a team like Boise State. I get the consternation about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're not going to get $8 million off a home game. You know, I don't.
Probably not.
I don't even know what they.
Yeah, I mean, given Ohio State makes $8 million off a home game.
Well, you're not going to get the $8 million guaranteed. You'll still get, I don't know, $4 million for just appearing. But then it's ticket sales, concessions, parking, economic impact in the area, yada yada. But again, I get the consternation.
Yeah.
So it's meeting season. So it's meeting season for both, football and basketball, and obviously basketball are having meetings and rumors, and they're trying to expand the NCAA tournament, which that's going to happen too, whether people like it or not. It is going to happen, and everyone's going to be mad about it. We're going to say we hate it, and then we're all going to watch it, and we'll see what happens from there. But the more games they can have, the more money they can make. That Chip, you always say, when does this thing end? When it ends, they just make more games and try to figure out how they can, keep the faucet on with the financials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of meetings to talk about.
If there's money to be made off TV, it will expand.
Exactly right.
That's the general rule of thumb.
All right. We got a couple more things. Anything else we want to talk about on this before we pause quick, come back with a couple other things that were in the news, Big Ten football and beyond? We good with the playoff? We'll obviously be following it. All right, let's pause. I was just taking a look at the forecast here. It's 48 degrees on this Tuesday. It's going to be 47 tomorrow. Kick ahead. It kind of goes down to the 20s, the 30s. Next Thursday, sunny and 46. Is it time we call Bill at Jack's Cafe and ask when the patio's open for business? I can't believe you're not doing this show from there today, Burnsy.
Well, I'm looking at jackscafe.com right now. They already got weekend brunch outside hours going up. That's how optimistic they are.
So it's already started, or they tell you this is when it's starting? Because I said we should call, but you just went to jaxcafe.com and you're getting the answers for us. What a reporter.
I know. 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on the weekends now. If you want to go out there in the 50 degrees that are coming up here, hopefully, I'm here for it, man. Go see them trout in the brook. Chip's favorite thing.
And it is the best patio.
What
a beautiful spot.
Right in the middle of the city. You feel secluded. You got the brook, like Burnsy says.
Yep.
You got the big window that looks back into all the poor people that have to eat inside, and you go, what's wrong with you people? Come out here, enjoy the sun, enjoy the vitamin D, enjoy my kids trying to fall into the river, enjoy all of that.
I've never done brunch. Have you guys done the brunch? You've done
absolutely.
I got to do the brunch. I'm a big brunch guy. Yeah,
the brunch is outstanding.
Oh.
Yes, we've done it all. We've done every meal.
Multiple-time brunch connoisseur there with my lovely wife and some friends. The mimosas there, outstanding. The service there, as it always is, outstanding. And the assortment of things that I can put in my stomach, they're not lacking. I'll say that. You don't get to look the way I look without enjoying brunches at Jack's Cafe.
Yeah, and even with my kids, who every 10 minutes their diet changes, what they like and what they don't like, as you know, Chip.
Yes.
Depending on which way the sun is. I like this. I don't like that. I like whipped cream. I don't like whipped cream. The beauty of the Jack's Cafe brunch is you can make a million decisions. You can make a million choices. There's something for everybody. So that's what we need to highlight here. That's what we need to highlight, that it is brunch season. It's always brunch season for Burnsy. But if you want to have an outdoor brunch, we're here, man. jaxcafe.com to learn more, to get the hours, and we can't recommend it enough. It's just a perfect spot to do it before church, after church, or do what we do, skip church and just go to brunch. The Lord's not judging. If you're skipping church to go get the Jack's Cafe brunch, God understands. He understands. So there you go. Make your reservations at jaxcafe.com.
The Lord's not judging.
All right, guys. This is a tough one for me.
Uh-oh.
This is a tough one. We got to get real for a minute.
Oh, boy.
We got to get real. Because I can't I know a lot of decisions have to be made. And I know a lot of times when we knew that the West Coast teams were coming into the Big Ten, we knew that the historic Big Ten in the Midwest, it was going to expand, right? We've had the East Coast teams for a while. Now we've got the West Coast teams. There was going to be collateral damage. And if I had the ability to play some type of funereal music, I would. But for the first time in a really long time, the Big Ten football media days will not be in the greatest host city in the history of host cities. I don't know how the national media is going to respond to this. I'm not sure they'll even come because there's no shrimp cocktail. You definitely can't walk everywhere. I'll ask this way, guys. The Big Ten football media days, it was announced earlier this week, is moving to Las Vegas, Nevada. Last week of July, I think it's the 22nd to the 25th. They are thumbing their nose at a city that's been loyal not just to them, but to everything that they've ever hosted. And no one has ever hosted anything like the city of Indianapolis. Thank God the Big Ten basketball tournaments are back there so that people will actually watch them starting next week. But I'll ask you both this. If you can say with a straight face, give me one thing that Las Vegas has that Indianapolis doesn't, I might understand this decision. But for the life of me, I can't figure out how the Big Ten and Tony Petitti and everybody else, the commissioner, says, you know what? We're going to thumb our nose at the greatest city to host events that has ever been put on God's green earth, and we're going to move it to Las Vegas? To Las Vegas. The floor is yours. What's one thing that Vegas has that Indianapolis doesn't have, guys? I can't believe this.
Well, all I need to know, do they have a St. Elmo steakhouse?
They don't have St. Elmo's. Well, they might. I don't know. There might be a St. Elmo's somewhere.
But do they have their shrimp cocktail that makmakes your nose run?
Probably not, because I've heard from what I remember.
Shut it down.
What I remember about Vegas is the food is horrible. I just no good celebrity chefs have restaurants there. No hotels for the high rollers have beautiful steakhouses or seafood places. So good luck to everybody that's making this trip to Vegas. I don't know what the hell you're going to do there. And we're all going to be wondering, we're all going to be sitting there, I think, at the Mandalay Bay going, wouldn't it be nice to be at Lucas Oil Stadium right now on the middle of a field and just knowing that we're like 2 blocks away from shrimp cocktail, which apparently is the only thing that we all want to eat. We're going to have some FOMO, I think, Burnsy. I don't even know if I'm going, honestly. I'm so disappointed that.
Well, as you can see here over my shoulder, it's the in remembrance of Lucas Oil in Indianapolis, and I have the candlelight vigil going in the background. I want everyone listening to this or watching on YouTube to know our thoughts and our prayers are with Justin Gaard in his time of need. As the unofficial official ambassador for that beautiful city that he has spent so much time in his life. I don't know how you're going to persevere. Well, I don't know how you're going to do it.
Forget about me. Is this the beginning of the end for the Big Ten Conference? After
many people are saying that right now and thinking it at this very moment in time.
Over 100 years of a conference sustaining itself, that they have the arrogance to say no to Indianapolis. That they look at Indianapolis and everything that it offers. Have you ever tried to walk in Vegas? Have you ever tried to walk? It looks like everything's a block away. It's like 2.2 miles. The Planet Hollywood and MGM, they look close. They're not close. They're not close. So to everybody in the national media, you might want to start working out now. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your steps in now, because somehow I don't know how Vegas is sustained since the 1950s and 60s. I don't know how things have continued to come there, because I can't for the life of me figure out what the draw is. But I just hope the Big Ten survives this, because there's been controversial decisions before. Moving media days out of Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis. Just remember this. Late February 2025, when the Big Ten started to die, we will go back to this day when they thumbed their nose at the greatest host city in the world.
I was thinking that, when you're covering a team and there's a bad loss and you always say, remember this. At the end of the year, you're going to remember this.
You're going to want that one back.
You want to write this one down. This is it.
I'm trying to think, if I had to set an over under, because now we're in Vegas terms, how many coaches, Big Ten coaches, are we in the 48 hours that we will be there? We're going to see at some sort of table playing. If I set the over under at 1.5 of the 18 Big Ten teams,
I'm going to say 0, because you're not supposed to gamble when you're in college.
You're not supposed to do a lot of things in Las Vegas.
I don't think they're going to be so blatantly just bellying up to the
playing 5-10 blackjack.
No, hold on.
They're not even allowed to. They're not even allowed to enter March Madness pools if you're an employee of a.
No, but they can go to Vegas and bet. Okay, Bielema's a rap. He married a girl he met in Vegas. And I'm not judging.
There's Bielema rules.
Bielema
rules.
And she's awesome from what I hear.
Yeah.
Bielema's a rap. So there's your one. So now it's.
I know some other Big Ten coaches like you do.
They might want to.
Yeah. Big Vegas fans.
Well, I mean, PJ loves Vegas. He's made no bones about that, and because he likes the food, like everybody. Vegas has everything. But for the record, I love this. By the way, I know people are mad about just. It feels weird that a Big Ten media day is in Vegas. Of course, it feels weird. Everything feels weird.
Yeah.
Stop feeling weird. We were in Piscataway and Los Angeles for conference games this year. I look like Chris Lindahl right now. My hands are stretched fully out here on the YouTube channel.
We're paying players $21 million.
Everything is weird. So this should have, people should have received this news and gone, oh, Vegas this year. That's interesting. Because it's not a fan event. It's for the teams. The teams fly. They usually come in the same day or the night before. I'm guessing they'll come in night before now for Vegas. The coaches are going to certainly want to. Coaches' wives are going to certainly want to come in, right? So I think this is great. I hope it's in LA in 2 years. I hope it's back in DC sometime. Like, you have a nationwide conference. You got to pretend that the West Coast teams exist. Can't keep making them come to Indy to do everything. So I've got no tongue and all jokes aside. I love this. I think it's great. I would have been fine if they said we're doing it in Los Angeles. It's no big deal. So anyway, to answer your question, Burnsy, we know we got Bielema.
Yep.
And that's just, we need 1.5. I think it's more like 10. Because, again, they're not going to be sitting in the sports book doing futures on their team. They're going to be in the high roller room. Yeah, that would be a scandal. But they can certainly go play poker or blackjack or pull some plots.
They can do that.
Do you think there will be, to your point, I think you're right, is there going to be for, because I'm sure they'll do this across 3 days, 6, 6, and 6.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that they will, at night, there'll be Big Ten poker tables behind like 9 different barriers to entry, so none of us schlebs can be able to watch it.
Right.
I'll watch Fleck go head to head with Brett Bielema over some Texas Hold'em.
That'd be great. Have all the coaches in there playing
trying to read each other.
Dave Revson providing the play-by-play on the Big Ten Network.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
they'll make a spectacle of it. It'll be great.
Absolutely.
It'll be fun.
Wasn't Big 12 media days out there last year?
Everybody's been there. I think Mountain West has been there. Like,
I know Pac-12 used to go there every year, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. Go take. You've been trying to take over the whole country, so go take over the country. Like, we'll survive. Indy will survive. I'm sure they're hosting a basketball regional this year. They do every year. Yeah. We know they've got the Big Ten tournament. So,
the whole notion of we can't have amateur sports and even pro sports around Vegas and the game. I mean, that ship has sailed. I mean,
that's over.
I mean, they're sponsoring. Like, states have legalized betting. I mean, it's
not
I
here.
don't think it's such a shock anymore. It shouldn't be.
No. So this will be good. And Burnsy, you'll be there for the whole trip, you think?
We'll get the 48-hour shot. The question isn't me, and the question isn't you. It's Chip. Does this get you to join your brethren, Randy Johnson, out there at the Mandalay Bay?
I would love it, but I can pretty much go out on a limb and tell you I don't think the Star Tribune will send 2 writers to the Big Ten Media Days in Vegas.
I think you're probably right.
We can't get 2 to Big Ten Media Days, but we can have 5 people down in Fort Myers to cover the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
London, yes. Vegas, no. Yeah. London, yes. Vegas, no. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm curious to see. I'd love to see Chip in Vegas, wouldn't you, though, Burnsy?
Chip, do you play, or would you play?
No, I don't really gamble either.
I'm not a gambler. I've only been once. I went out there. I don't know, 5-6 years ago to spend some time with Randall Cunningham.
Oh yeah,
who former Vikings quarterback who was
he's a pastor out there.
He's a pastor at a big church there right off the strip, and his daughter was training to be an Olympian, and he was coaching football. So I spent about 48 hours out there hanging out. I didn't gamble once. I'm just not a big gambler. I'm tight with my money, man. I don't like giving my money away.
I give my money away, but not for gambling. I'm with you. I don't. We made a couple of bets when we were out there, but that's the beauty of Vegas is you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can
Go to
if you
shows.
want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go to great dinners. Go to shows. Just walk around. There's plenty of stuff. There's plenty. Hang by the pool. Chip, where I think you'd be worried in Vegas is it is a place where no one has any concept of time.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
As a guy who's always looking for a clock, I feel like you would be really anxious over what time do I need to be there? What time is it now? How long is it going to take? What's the bus situation? Like, that's where I when I saw this and I thought of you, I thought you never know what time it is in Vegas because you just don't really need to unless you're trying to make a dinner reservation.
Like I'm anal about schedules, about
as he's rocking back and forth.
Yeah, like like my nerves are kicking in right now just thinking about I can't just wing it. Like winging it's not part of my DNA. I can't.
Yeah, we've noticed.
I need to be. So it would be talking about out of body for me. It would be, but I would do it.
We're gonna have to go look and see who's playing at the Sphere.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's the beauty of it is there's always somebody there that you're interested in. It's just a matter of do you want to pay $1,000 to.
Well, I know Grim's already made dinner reservations for multiple nights already.
I'm sure he has. Yeah,
the question is he going to make? Because he's big '80s rock guy.
Yeah,
or just anything like that. So I know he's gonna buy some tickets and try to get us to go to a show one of those nights.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He is. And actually, the first thing Grim had to do was cancel his St. Elmo's reservation because he already had that made. Because he just assumed, like everybody would, that why would the Big Ten give up that prime real estate of Indianapolis in July?
So are they still doing it 3 days and then 5 teams, 16?
I think it's the 22nd to the 24th. So I would imagine
it's 3 days.
Yep, 16.
Which, by the way, is too long to be in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like anyone that's going the full run there, good luck to you.
That is the one thing.
2 nights is good. Get out on the 3rd day.
Yep.
I will say, selfishly, just from a reporter standpoint, that is one thing about the expansion that you can't do it all in one day, or 2 days like we used to do. I used to love the old, back when I was on the beat, what do we have, 12 teams in? The second day, we do it in a hotel ballroom in Chicago. And the second, it'd be from 8 to 10 a.m. and every head coach would just be at a table and 2 players. And each player, there'd be 3 players. You could go sit down with Barry Real rest for 2 hours, or you could sit down there for 5 minutes and go Paterno, then Mays, then Lloyd Carr, then Kirk Ferris. And you could just hop around this media room for 2 hours. And it's like, it was awesome.
It was. Yeah, that was the tail end of when I jumped in here. And they've done the podiums now as opposed to the tables because they want to obviously get it for TV purposes and have clips. And that's fine. I think I've told you guys that's actually my favorite part of media days is when the coaches are at the podiums because that is the old table setup. But it isn't like we had a lot of if all of a sudden the table was empty, you'd have 10 minutes just whatever you wanted to ask the coach. And it could be on the record, off the record. It was great. It was great.
You got to know we did the podium. It was always the podium was the first day, and each coach would go up there for I think they got 20 minutes, and they basically list their depth chart. It was kind of, and then you'd get them off to the side. But that second day was like, man, you could talk to, and every team brought their 3 best players, so it's like, you'd get the quarterback, and you could spend, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
you actually felt like you got to know the coaches a little bit more than just shouting out a question at a podium,
Well, you see that now with the NFL, right? When they go to the owners' meetings in Phoenix, right? And Zimmer's, I just remember Mike Zimmer eating eggs and talking about, John DeFilippo and things like that. Like it's more because that used to be the tables. Now they're at tables, but it's not a round table. It's a table, and then everybody that wants to sit can sit. Or Burnsy and Andy Greeter are always standing because they're flexing their physical conditioning on the rest of us.
Many people say that about me, so I'm glad that you noticed.
I did notice, and I'm just sprawled out over a chair, just listening. After a night at St. Elmo's.
Notebook, because you take notes during those.
I do take notes during those. Yeah, I try to be a professional. So anyway, we'll do a bonus pair and a spare from Vegas, provided I'm able to make the trip. It's summer. Like there's been years where I haven't gone to media day, just because different things pop up. So we'll see. I'll do my best. Hopefully, it falls on a day that I can go. And hopefully Indianapolis survives, but more important, hopefully the Big Ten survives.
How envious of Paul Allen are you right now and the entire NFL media conglomerate that, Chip, how many Star Tribune writers you guys got in Indy right now for the Scouting Combine? I'm surprised you're not there.
3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can't get 2 to Vegas for the
3.
Big Ten Media Days.
3 people at the combine. That's malpractice.
Well, I will say we normally send 2, but we just hired a new writer, and so Emily, this is a
okay. Yeah, she should
an opportunity
go.
for her to get to meet the team and meet the executives. So it was.
Yeah, she should go.
This is the first time for that. Yeah,
I co-sign on that. Yeah, but it's thick right now. I mean, anybody that follows, I'm sure you'll get shots of the shrimp cocktail. I'm sure you'll. Nobody's hitting their step goal because Indy is so walkable that they have to find a way to get 10,000 steps in because everything's just so close. It's like what a joke.
I want you to when you retire, I want you to become on the Chamber of Commerce at Indy. I want you to move to Indy, become on the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh my gosh.
And make it your life's mission to sell how great that downtown is. And
well, you know, the first thing that he would implement in Indianapolis, it's at the airport. And I think Guardsy knows exactly where I'm going with this.
I might, but go ahead.
Well, they don't have clear for you, do they?
They don't have clear. You're right. Yeah. How can you be the greatest city in the world and you don't have clear? In all honesty, like
is that not the most Minnetonka take you've ever heard?
Well, no, but all these national media members that love the place so much, do you love sitting in a long TSA pre-line because they don't have clear? Like, give me a break. Their airport has one restaurant, Harry and Izzy's. It takes 45 minutes to get in there. They have literally one restaurant in the whatever terminal that is. That's what I don't understand. Like, everyone just raves about all this. Like, the airport average, it's close to downtown because Indy's small. Like, this is a whole nother, like, I want everybody to know, like, there's nothing more no group likes to think alike more than the national media, more than media in general. And I even said this when I was hosting, because it's easy to say St. Louis is a great baseball town. It's just easy to say that. Everybody loves St. Louis. Great baseball town. Unbelievable. Baseball. You want baseball, you go St. Louis. Like, it's just easy to say that. I've never been to St. Louis. I've probably said that 52 times. I think I went to St. Louis once, actually, now that I think about it. But it's just easy to go, oh, Indy's so great, and the Steak and Shake, and oh, the slippery noodle bar. And it's like every town has that. There's some cities that shouldn't host. That's the problem. Indy is a good host city, but because other cities, Houston, Dallas, I can go down the list, shouldn't host things but do, Indy stands out like it is Las Vegas or London in terms of metropolitan pizzazz, because so many bigger cities, because they'll pay for it, do a crap job, and it's not walkable and easy to get around, and apparently doesn't have shrimp cocktail. So Indy stands out because there are such, and I've been to, oh, good for me, 1 million Final Fours. So I know I can pull stuff off from my shelves if you want to go. All the different host cities.
we put the quarter in. Here we go.
But it's just,
you had to bring up clear, didn't you?
Yeah, I forgot about the clear. But actually, what bothers me more is the lack of food, because people want to have some people want to eat at the airport. They're traveling. They want to get out. They want to have something. They've got one coffee place. The line goes 400 people away. Yeah, and they have like that Crystal IU red basketball. We're happy for you. That's in that one store that you can buy for like $10,000, and that's it. That's what I don't understand. Like, it's not easy to get in and out of because of all the stuff that you just mentioned. But
well, Chip, I already put a quarter in, so let me double down.
I have a hard out today. Let's get out of here after this.
The last time we recorded, you got to say your piece that you knew was going to get the masses upset about Gopher basketball and your take on how to fix it, of which then resulted in like a 6-page thread on Gopher Illustrated about Justin Gaard's comments about Gopher basketball. How was the reaction in your email, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, Twitter mentions about your thoughts and feelings about Gopher basketball?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I got a lot of Twitter. I don't really read my Twitter mentions anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing really good comes out of it. And I certainly don't engage back and forth with people. I'll say this. My Twitter mentions did appear to be more on fire with my thoughts on Hopkins and Wayzata basketball from a week and a half ago. Because that was the second brush fire of the week, if I remember right. That was the same week, right? Maybe a week or so later.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like anything. People have their sides already on Gopher basketball. And so I probably would hear from the same people. I did notice it got a little buzz on your message site, on your message board site, though. That was good. You're welcome. You're welcome to drive the content in February when things are a little slow. You're welcome.
so blessed to have you and be able to share your content when you allow me to, you know?
Well, and then, God, I was really haughty after they go and sweep USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
And then I'm really peacocking. And then I'm at the Fairfield Inn and Suites Rochester pool watching 20 fourth graders kill each other before their game. And all I keep hearing is bump, bump from shots off the rim. Can we turn the mic down at Williams Arena when the Gophers miss 15 of their 16 shots? I'm watching it on the Fox Sports app. I'm like, oh, that's when my mentions go wild. It was quiet on the California trip. The mentions got a little louder once they laid an egg to Penn State after being up by 9 midway through the first half.
He's not bitter about that. I don't know what he's more bitter about. Indianapolis. His mentions during Gopher basketball games.
I get to go there a week from today.
So blessed and highly favored. You often say that,
and I am going to lay it on thick. Believe me, because it's been about a year since. Speaking of your message board, since your guy Luke Buer put the internet on fire, retweeting that guy that said it was a Big Ten tournament should never have moved out of Indy. That started the whole bit. That started the whole thing. That actually it started with Jeff Goodman saying Big Ten Media Days.
Media Day here, nobody will come.
That started it, and then last week just the accelerant, because I know it'll be packed for the Thursday 8-9 game in Indy at 11 o'clock, whenever that is. I know that's going to be like a Caitlin Clark-like crowd, in any city, which still drives me nuts. We got to cut this off because I'm going to get too mad. We've all got things to do. Our listeners got things to do. It is brunch season. You know, a great place to get some serenity, the patio at Jack's Cafe. Even I can find serenity in the patio at Jack's Cafe during a good brunch or just during a lunch or a meal. That's where we first met Bill, was out there on the patio. I think I had a steak salad. It was lovely.
Yes.
So it's all good there, and make your reservations at jaxcafe.com, jaxcafe.com. Any final thoughts, boys? Just want to wish everybody well, me especially.
Thoughts and prayers with you, Guardsy, in your time of need with Indianapolis. I'm glad to hear you get to go there in a week.
I'm so excited. Maybe we'll do a special podcast from Indianapolis. Who knows?
I love that.
Although I might have too much to do because there's so many things to do in Indianapolis. I don't know if I'm going to find the time.
Hey, quick tease before you go. We talked about this. We'll share with listeners. We are going to plan on having some former Gophers join us on here this spring. So tune in next, get us through the dog days of the college football calendar, and we'll share some memories and some stories and hear from some former Gopher players. We're excited about it.
I love it. Good plan. Good idea. Like you said, we'll get us through the dog days. Spring practice is right around the corner. Nobody knows when it officially is, and that makes Burnsy mad. So we'll get him going on this in a couple of weeks. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please leave a rating or review if you haven't. Please tell a Gopher fan friend in your life or a football fan friend in your life that we are here every week on the Parent and Spare podcast, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks.